Someone gave the 8th one a 10 out of 10. I love this movie so far. So they didn't even finish the movie.
Fucking Charles Band. Throw him in the fucking Hague for these movies.
Throw him in the Hague.
I forgot how fucking bad these 4 are. None of the other 5 were great, but...
Yeah, but there was a bar, and somehow it went below the bar. Wait, like, you have to try to be this bad. I think
it's impressive. Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, here comes Xerxes.
Yeah.
We want to get stoked up, choked out, and what was that thing you said?
Get high as a kite.
That's right.
Well, that I can help with.
Right on, evil woman. Get us baked.
And don't delate.
Enough with the rhyme slimes.
Happy 420, everybody. Welcome to a very special and very unfortunate episode of Movies from Green Hell. I'm Dylan. And once again, joining me for another dip into depravity is Nathan from I Hope You Suffer. And I'm sorry, dude.
It's whatever. I would have ended up watching this bullshit again.
Given the timing, we're doing the rest of the Evil Bong movies, which I'm happy because I hope never to revisit most of these again.
Well, just wait till next year when you get to I don't know, Gingerweedman, and I'm sure there'll be another one by then. Like,
Gingerweedman.
There'll be three more Gingerweedman movies.
Somehow not the most offensive thing in this series of movies.
The only cool thing in these 4 movies.
Yeah, really. That's how the bar is very low for this. So to be good it's pretty easy. But it is outdone with some unsightly things. We'll put it that way. I don't think any amount of weed or edibles or alcohol could make the rest of the Evil Bong franchise better. Do you think that all of these were just one movie and they just chopped it up into 8 movies or 8 more movies into these 4 movies?
I definitely think there's some that were probably shot back to back. There's a couple where they never leave the weed store.
Yeah.
And I can almost guarantee those were probably back to back. And then I think it was 7's the one where they go to Las Vegas. The hotel they stay at is the Hotel Ouija's is shot in. So that blatantly is a spot that they just probably shot a bunch of shit in and just, used. So Full Moon's definitely getting the most for the money they spend, but I would definitely say there's at least 2 of these I would bet every dollar I have were shot at the same time.
Yeah.
5 and 6 probably, because it's just the weed store and then a CGI hell or the weed the land inside the bong or whatever.
This all sounds really mundane, but man, I just I can't believe some of the things I saw yesterday.
Okay. This is my complaint with these movies.
Here's my one complaint.
Who the fuck would want out of the bong? That being in the bong land seems incredible compared to the real world.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
I would stay in sexy hell over what we're dealing with right now.
I have some words about sexy hell, but definitely the bong world.
all they're doing is smoking weed and like playing nude Twister and stuff. Like they don't have to worry about paying rent
There's
and like
boobs with wings or
yeah,
whatever the fuck.
it seems incredible. And instead, I'm just going to work every day.
Well, here's a question. Has your interest in narcotics changed since we last spoke at all?
Oh,
Obviously,
now that like
I'm very high right now because I had to be to talk about this shit.
in as much as like my review of Evil Bong 5 was that I'm rooting for the war on drugs now. Yeah, my review is this movie makes me think maybe the war on drugs wasn't such a bad idea. Evil Bong 5 has to be one of the worst movies I've ever watched.
I mean, all four of these movies are bad for a multitude of reasons, and we will explain, we'll get to why, but like, there's something really bad about the fifth one.
Well, I remember like I told you like when we were watching the first ones that I was like, yeah, one of these movies is essentially just like an hour commercial.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't remember which one, and then I started watching 5 and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just for
this
these
one, and-
weird dolls that are also just other characters in Full Moon Pictures. So specifically, we watched and are going to talk about Evil Bong High Five, Evil Bong 77. No, sorry, I skipped over 6. Evil Bong 666, Evil Bong 777, and Evil Bong 888 Infinity High, which is marketed as like this in Avengers Infinity War-esque event film, and let me tell you something, it is anything but that.
I don't know, I gotta say, might more exciting than the finale Endgame when Barbie and Kendra show up.
Man, just all right, well, yeah,
I that movie is such a fucking like let down in like what the plot is.
The trajectory of these movies is a commercial, some kind of weird plot development that also just kind of slowly turns into half pornos.
It's just like you go from 5, which is the commercial, to 6, which actually seems to have like a plot and like, quote unquote stakes. And then like 7, where all of the characters are like on the run. And then all of a sudden it's like you're just in a restaurant.
It's how all good movies should end.
Literally no like stakes to anything, like nothing going on. It's just Rabbit opening a restaurant, and that's the final movie.
Could you imagine that? Like that's how I'm just trying to think of like a real prominent movie. Like that's how like The Last of the Mohicans ends. Daniel Day-Lewis ends up opening up like a weird fancy restaurant that's decades removed from the current history.
That's just how they fucking end. Like There Will Be Blood. I'm curious. I would be curious to know if there was like, because that one was blatantly shot probably towards like the end of like the pandemic, or like we're not the end because obviously we're still in, but like as they probably were like opening things up a bit more as they started to film that, because it came out in 2022, which means I'm assuming it was shot sometime 2021.
Honestly, could have been shot in 2022.
Yes, yeah. I guess I don't know what day it was released, but like I'm curious if there was like maybe a different plot to it, like in their mind before COVID happened, and then they just kind of like did what they could, if that makes sense. Like because like there's no way that was like the intended and like planned for this fucking franchise.
Doesn't really make any sense, even in the context of like what happens in 7, which trying to remember what happened in besides one part that's like seared into my brain for the rest of my fucking life.
7 is literally just them on the fucking run from
in Vegas.
What's her name? Lucy.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking on like, well, let me see. I was looking on like Wikipedia, it's got like the rundown of all of the movies, and it's like, Gingerweedman happens between 7 and 8, but which I've watched, but I don't really remember anything from. But it like doesn't seem like it ties anything really in between the two movies, because Gingerweedman's not even in 8, so it's just like doesn't connect either of them really at all.
And I don't really have any. There was very little information about these movies on IMDb, so we can do without the interesting production notes. You know, like the main cast of these movies, like broadly, it is you have old. Fucking God! By the end of the series, he looks so old. Like this dude,
Oh yeah,
Sonny Carl Davis,
he looks old in 8.
as Rabbit, and he's essentially the main character after a while. Robin Sidney back again as Sarah Lee, originally from the Gingerdeadman, which I watched, and that's a much better movie than all of these.
Well, it's in like the same way that like the first Evil Bong is like not good, but it's totally a watchable movie. Like I would say,
It's
like
a movie.
I would say the first 3 are, you know, relatively like watchable. They're dumb, but there's like stakes and kind of a plot, and there's like more characters than just like Rabbit and Larnell.
And more comfortably weird stuff happens in it. Like it's just sort of, it's like, oh, that's weird and strange, but whatever. It's kind of funny, as opposed to like the fever dream that these movies become.
Like 3 especially is very like dumb full moon and like trauma-esque, where it's like childish and like very much like bro humor. Because 3 is the one where they're like in the alien bong and getting like milked for cum or fucking whatever in it, like. And so like total, like, you know, not good, but like totally watchable. And then it's just like they just settle into this weed store for like 5 movies basically. While I do enjoy them tying in sort of like characters from other full moon movies a little bit, because like once Sydney, fuck, I can't. I heard
Robin Sidney.
Yeah, Robin. I was like, I know, like it's something with an R. Like she plays that like baddie boop fucking Harley Quinn character in these.
Oh my! I was so like I was like, what is fucking happening?
Yeah, and so like I think that's a character from like the Killjoy movies, and I don't remember because like I've watched all of them, but they're like kind of like these where they sort of blur together a bit as well, except like right in the middle they do one where it's just like inexplicably Killjoy has like an American TV talk show, so the entire like movie is just like a talk show, and I was like, well, this is at least different, but
That's
very
weird.
strange. But like her popping in is like a fun little like Easter egg, I guess, if you watch these movies. There's like, I don't know, there's just characters that like pop in and out. Like, you know, Robin Sidney plays like 8 different characters throughout these movies that are all from other full moon movies. It's wild.
It's really bizarre. She must have like a good contract with them or something. Like she's just popping up everywhere. Oh, we need another character. Sure, I'll do it. It's just gonna be me.
Yeah, she likes working for Charles Band, I guess.
Like her and Mindy Robinson, who plays Phoebe, and Lucy Fur.
What a fucking great name.
Is it as good as Sal Manila?
Oh yeah, that's pretty good too.
Amy Paffrath, that's a real person's name, as Felicity. I was like, I don't know who you are. I don't remember you from the last movies. Jessica Morris as Madam Misty, and Peter Donald Badalamenti II, otherwise known as the Don, who's like the short guy with the weird voice.
Yeah. Do you think he's related to Angelo Badalamenti?
I have no idea, but maybe.
Yeah, so Robin Sidney, Jesus Christ, I've seen way too many movies with her in it, has 32 credits on Letterboxd, and it looks like most of these are probably full moon. There's like, she's in a Drake and Josh Nickelodeon movie, FDR American Badass, which is Franklin Delano Roosevelt with rocket launchers on his wheelchair and a machine gun in his hand. So I'm watching that.
the new deal.
Yeah, it's like all these like almost all the Evil Bong movies, She's in like a Puppet Master movie. Some of the Killjoy movies. Or at least one of the Killjoy movies. I can't remember exactly why it happens, but in one of the Killjoy movies, there's like two of those baddie boop characters, and she plays one of them, and is just sort of like banished to Earth or some shit, and ends up like that's where like because I just like the movie, just like all of a sudden there's just like this like clown character walking around Venice Beach, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Can I just say, it's like, it was really hard to like describe in writing some of like what, like just reading it out loud, I'm like, these sound like the ravings of a madman. Like this shit that I'm writing down.
My only assumption is that every time someone's smoking in these movies, it's real weed, and they're just like endlessly high throughout all of them.
I assume it's the only way you'd be able to like humanly get through the production of one of these.
I would wager, especially like at the point we're in, like the first at least 2 movies probably took some time to shoot.
Yes.
But once they get to like the weed store and like 4, or honestly, probably like Gingerdeadman versus Evil Bong is probably the first one with the weed store. And that's like technically the 4th movie, but like not number 4. Probably a pretty easy shoot where you're probably done in like maybe 3 days tops.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, these are clearly all first takes. Only the best.
Like how it took them 16 years to get through all of these is baffling to me, considering it feels like 7 of them were shot in a 2-week time span.
It's baffling. It is truly baffling. I watched all these on Tubi because they just seem to live there forever.
Full Moon has their own channel on there where I think almost all of their catalog is, which is like anytime I'm like, I don't want to watch anything I have to pay attention to, I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just let the Full Moon channel play. Watch Trophy Heads.
Immediate observations of other movies that came up on Tubi. Elvira's episode of it. Okay, that checks out. The Gingerweedman makes sense. Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bolorama. That makes sense. Ghoulies 3. That makes sense. Munchies, which is clearly a Gremlins ripoff. All right, makes sense. This movie, which sounds incredible. Starleaf, which is about 3 friends fight to stay alive after finding extraterrestrial marijuana deep in the woods and accidentally provoking the alien forces guarding it. That sounds
solid 1.7 on Letterboxd.
Yeah, it probably is terrible, but I'm vaguely interested. Maybe next year. The Rage. Old Testament 1, Sodom and Gomorrah, an animated classic.
Well, yeah, I'm in.
Okay. And rounding it out at the end, Bungie Bear and the Kingdom of Rhythm.
The fuck?
The last 2 really were very strange. I was very perplexed by there being an animated Bible tale coming up underneath me searching Evil Bong.
My Letterboxd, or not Letterboxd, my Tubi is a hellscape of recommendations anymore. Like, it's all shit like that, and then like real movies, and then just like, I don't know, just the weirdest bullshit imaginable, like Ouija Nazis.
Ooh, that sounds bad.
Adding this to the I Hope You Suffer. Sorry, Kit and Katie.
Well, I guess we'll get started with maybe the worst offender of these 4 movies. Yeah, we're doing 4. Just saying that again. So strap in, folks. It's a ride.
It's yeah. This was a bad day at work when I watched these.
Starting off, Evil Bong High Five. We are back in Sonic the Hedgehog Green Zone. I mean, Weed World or whatever. It's such bad CG animation. They're inside the Evil Bong, or Evie. It's Larnell and Sarah and Felicity. They're just sitting around talking about nothing, making awful puns. They've been here for like 6 months. yeah, this whole movie, like you said, is either a green screen or the weed store. And then that'll happen again in one of the other ones. I think it's the next one. They
Yeah,
decide
'cause
to
seven's the one they go to Vegas.
they decide to seek help from Rabbit, who has developed Bongholm syndrome because he loves being here in Weed World. And they happen across him playing Twister with a topless woman, and they start fooling around. And then the Gingerdeadman also appears, who's watching. And I forgot about his awful green screened mouth.
Just like I don't understand why they like the Bong puppet blatantly has like a puppet mouth, like, and it looks terrible, but I go with it. I don't know why they don't do the same with like the Gingerdeadman.
Yeah, I like paused it because Sarah came in and I didn't want her to watch these or see any part of them. And she was just like, she's like,
This is
I
my
cannot.
secret shame.
She's like, I cannot get over how much I hate that thing's face. She's like, look at it. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's pretty awful. He does have a little sweater on though, which is kind of funny. Rabbit says that if you say EB's name, she will harsh everyone's mood, and she has also sealed up all of the quote-unquote rabbit holes to escape through. Sarah and Felicity use sex to change his mind into helping them get out. Then the same song plays as in all the other movies. There's a guy named Circus Zalewski in the credits. That's a name. It's like he just forgot his first name. He just goes by his last name.
Yeah, he just plays redneck.
These credits gave me a fucking headache. They all did. They were just such an eyesore. I kept writing down Rabbit's name as Sunny. That's annoying. Rabbit says the ways of Nothinghead are very intense. This is just getting really stoned to the point of just not responding to anything so you can see things. So the force on weed, I suppose. Don't worry about it. It's stupid. The Gingerdeadman tricks Rabbit into summoning Evie, who teleports in and says she has been busy dealing with world domination. Do we actually see any world domination in this?
No.
I don't think so. No. Okay.
It's literally like, because that's the thing, is like the first couple movies are them stopping her from like world domination and them getting trapped in the Bong world and escaping or whatever. And then it just becomes essentially like buddy hangout movies with this Bong and Cookie.
The Evil Bong itself, Evie, is like still kind of funny in these just because of like what it is. A sassy talking Bong with a puppet mouth. And I think it says, somebody says the phrase full tilt boogie attack, which just made me think of that Alex Jones soundbite where he's like, we're going to go full tilt boogie on this one.
I always think that's because that's the documentary name for From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, is it really? Like on the DVD? Yeah,
there's like a feature length documentary about the making of From Dusk Till Dawn called Full Tilt Boogie, and that's like the only, like, I know obviously that phrase existed before, but that's just like what I think about when I hear that.
I haven't watched that movie in a while. I used to watch that movie a ton.
Yeah, it's a much better thing to have as a reference point for that term.
It is. EB needs only $1 million apparently to achieve her goals of world domination. So she decides to send the group out to sell all of her weed in order to make the money over the next 30 days. She's already set up a location for them too. The catch is that the girls have to stay, so it's up to Larnell and Rabbit, and also Evie calls in her poon-ishers to deal with the girls. Obviously, these women are immediately topless. Poonishers.
Yeah. Look, they got that. I think I'm convinced the only writing any of these movies had were for like the puns.
It's not like they are breaking out the best ones here.
No.
Apparently, Sarah made a blazer for Rabbit and a little karate outfit for the Gingerdeadman. Rabbit and Larnell get teleported back to California, specifically into a cannabis outlet shop full of EB bombs. I do want one of these, whether it's a real smoking apparatus or not.
Pretty sure we've talked about them before, but I'm like, I don't know how they haven't made like an actual bong to sell, you know? Like, yeah. I know you could buy like a figure, but I don't No, unless they're just saying. I can't tell if this is an actual bong or a statue. It just says it's a quote unquote resin statue.
That's definitely a statue. It's not a bong.
Okay.
Resin is like when they make like those like very lifelike statues and stuff. They use like resin for it because I think you can get like a lot of detail out of it or something, or it's just like a sturdier material.
I don't know how you have not like done a box set with all these movies and like an actual functioning EB bong at this point.
Because these movies are failures.
I mean, I in as much as they're terrible, but like there's no way they did not make their money back because these movies seem like they cost $200 to make.
And there's enough dumb idiots out there like us that are willing to waste our time watching them.
Like they've made Gingerdeadman cereal on their website, but they have not made.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
There's a bong cleaner with Tommy Chong on it from the first movie,
but not like an actual bong.
Yeah, as far as I could tell, no, there's not.
Well, the Gingerdeadman is there at the store with them too, and I believe Rabbit says this line of "There's a shitload of weed in here, and Rabbit's gonna grab it." That's his phrase. Rabbit's gonna grab it.
Oh yeah,
great phrase. Gonna get that tattooed on my ass. That would be like a really weird thing to get tattooed on you.
I feel like
really odd reference.
I feel like if you get some sort of Evil Bong tattoo, it should be one of those things where you just get like a free DVD of every movie Full Moon makes.
Absolutely. The Gingerdeadman gets high too, and the three of these people, I guess he's not really a person, he's a cookie. The three of these characters just stand around smoking a bong for minutes. Like, this is the movie. Like, they never go outside. Whenever they do go outside, it's just stock footage of, like, Venice Beach or whatever the fuck it is. Whatever beach it is in California. This leads us to a really rather unfortunate Caitlyn Jenner joke.
I feel like there's more than one in these movies.
Yeah, like, the jokes in this movie are either completely unremarkable or it's just punching so down like that.
Yeah.
Just lazy, obvious, bad, shitty writing.
Well, like, it seems like Larnell's entire thing for some reason is bro with some famous name in it. Or like vice versa, like a famous name with the word bro in it, like Lindsay Broham.
Yeah.
I think he says like a bunch of times. But then like for some reason, it's just like he calls someone Caitlyn Jenner. And I was just like, what?
It won't be the only instance of transphobia in these movies, unfortunately. Like, these movies just roll out the bigotry, like, in really weird ways that, like, I don't know, just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it's not great, especially in this one.
No. They stumble upon a whole room full of EB bongs, which Rabbit surmises that every sale of one, somehow EB can feel it. And so he's off to make money, whether for himself or EB. I'm not clear on a lot of things in this. The Gingerdeadman is on the phone, and I noted we do not need to be this close to his face. He's scheming something. The leaf blower weed machine makes a comeback, and the Gingerdeadman recruits Phoebe from the bowling alley to work there, or rather just sort of like live at the weed store. Shirt comes off too, and Rabbit sends her off to find customers. Then Grandpa is back, or Gramps, whatever his name is.
I think final appearance in this one.
I think so. He's unfortunately his acting's gotten worse.
I wonder if he like
actually died.
Yeah,
I imagine so. I saw some IMDb thing about like a cast member passed away like a few months before this. I wonder if it was him.
It has to have been, because he's the oldest person in outside of like Sonny Carl Davis.
Watch, I'm gonna get a fucking email that's like, "I'm very much alive. How dare you assume I'm dead?" I'll be like,
yeah.
Minor controversy.
There was the thing early on in like IOB Suffer where like Kit and I would talk about somebody, and then like 2 weeks later they would like pass away or something. We were like, we gotta stop doing this.
Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah, he died in 2016.
Okay. In this, he's turned.
Can you imagine your film credits being like Hail Caesar, some like voice acting and Star Wars stuff, Showgirls, Evil Bong, fucking 1 through 5.
Before he passed away, Gramps, he's like turned in his life of weed crime or whatever in favor of focusing on good people doing good things or something like that. And he's only here because he smelled the stench of desperation. He's also brought along Larnell's half brother, Jeff, who's just like this random nerd guy who really doesn't do much of anything throughout the rest of the movies. He's just sort of there. Larnell is utterly baffled by how this could have happened, so he's apparently not familiar with the concept of remarriage. And Jeff works for a streaming company. He works for Tubi. Gramps just goes on insulting Larnell for being a piece of shit, basically. And then he leaves with Jeff before a bunch of rednecks walk in. And they really want to get fucked up, but probably not weed fucked up. So they offer coins to buy weed and get, rejected. Larnell asks them to come back with money, which makes them annoyed, and they leave. What a scene.
Pretty good, gotta say. Can't believe this was not an Oscar nominated performance going on here.
I sincerely hope that they do forget Charles Band in the posthumous part.
Oh, there's no way they'll ever they will not acknowledge that Charles Band has been making movies for 100 years whenever he passes away.
Meanwhile, inside EB, I guess I shouldn't say that because like Full Moon has made some like good movies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like early 80s Full Moon stuff rocks. Like, you know, there's obviously, because it was the 80s, not great like content in some of them, but like there's some really good stuff they released in like the 80s and 90s, especially if you just like, you know, B horror movies. But then they fell into the same trap that like Trauma did, where they just like were making things for as cheap as possible out of necessity, and it just turns into like this.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, inside EB, I will never get used to saying that. The girls are being entertained by the Punishers before she shows up, and then we're back to the shop where Hambone shows back up. Who's this? This dude was in the last one, right?
Yeah, he was in the bowling alley one, which I think was the last one.
Yeah, I don't like this guy. He's very creepy and weird looking. Along with Piggy Suey, who used to work at the bowling alley in Evil Bong 4. And he's trying to sell the terrible dolls again that reminded me of a previous employer of mine who earlier in his career, before I worked for him, once ventured into a line of action figures that were utter garbage. They were called Romper Zombies. Google it. Shit's fucking terrible. That guy's terrible too. But these are called Badass Dolls that you can find at badassdolls.com. And they're all really
these zombies are
and
not great.
Yeah, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole of my life right now, but maybe some other time I'll tell you in a non-public platform. So Rabbit offers to shoot a commercial for them, and they will offer some of the dolls or some exchange like that. Hambone calls in his camera crew, which is gravely stereotyped Asian characters that I'm not even going to repeat the name of because this whole sequence is awful.
These dolls are still for sale.
That's so fucked up.
Either because no one bought them, or I don't want to like. I don't even want to know why they still. I just
like the full moon, like these Full Moon dolls.
Yeah.
Oof.
At least some of them. I guess maybe these two of these characters with real shitty names are from Ooga Booga, which also not great.
I wonder why.
It looks like all of them are actually from that movie. I watched that movie, but I don't remember like anything about it other than literally every single one of these characters. This website was made specifically to sell dolls from that movie.
It's fucked up.
I can't. I can't fucking believe this is a fucking real thing.
What do you mean you can't believe it?
Just that, like, these characters exist and that, like, someone made dolls out of them. If you want to know what we're talking about, just go to badassdolls.com, because obviously we're not saying any of these names on.
No. Or don't go to that website. You have the option.
I mean, look, if you want to buy a $40 figure, go to this website.
Oh my god! In this economy?
Yeah. I mean, you could get a baby Oopsie bobblehead for $20.
I'm gonna invest some crypto stock into Full Moon Pictures, see if it pays off.
Oh my god, I fully believe they would have a crypto thing going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna invest in that and Dave Mustaine's Smegma crypto coin.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was awesome. What a world we live in. Back in EB, the girls are still being entertained by the Punishers. I love getting boobs rubbed up against the back of my head. It's great. I have such a good view of boobs that way.
My assumption that's how all strip clubs work.
The commercial for EB's weed shop is played. It looks just like the rest of the movie. Rabbit asks if Hambone would ever make a doll of himself. And I noticed there was like a random flash of red light, which I'm assuming was some weird like editing glitch or something. I don't know. It just looked like the movie very briefly broke. There's also a Hambone doll too that's hideous.
Yeah.
David DeCateau shows up again with a couple of friends, the butt pirate amongst them, and he gets added to the doll collection. If it sounds like nothing has happened in this movie, it's because nothing has happened in this movie. And
Yeah,
it's just the cast from the last movie making random appearances to move the alleged plot along.
It's literally, like I said, this entire movie is just a commercial for these dolls. There's no real plot point other than that EB needs $1 million, and then it's just like trying to hawk these dolls from a different movie franchise. Well, quote unquote, I guess not a franchise, not the right word, but you know what I mean.
You use that word lightly.
Like, I don't know if they ever did anything with Ooga Booga except for the one movie. So like, but like he pops up, I think, in Gingerweedman.
Yeah, he does briefly show up,
and he pops up in one of these.
In one of these.
And so, you know, like not a franchise, but it's a character that has moved on to other movies, I guess. But it's so baffling that they were just like, I don't know, why don't we just make a movie that just to sell these dolls from another fucking like a different movie completely. I can't get over that somebody made that movie and was like, you know what, characters need dolls? All of these fucking horribly named ones.
Like, remember when Secret Wars was really successful for Marvel and they sold a bunch of toys? We're gonna do that. But
yeah.
What with this?
I'm literally just staring at the website, just kind of like baffled that this actually happened and wasn't a weird fucking movie plot thing. Because I don't think the first time I watched it, I don't think I looked up if these were like real dolls. I was just like, I refused to acknowledge this was a thing that happened. And looking at it now, I'm just like, I can't believe that, yes, this was real, and two, somebody actually like made these figures.
Imagine getting this like purchase order at your shop and like, okay, that'll be 50 Ooga Booga toys.
Like, that's bad enough, and that's not the worst named one somehow.
You get this good exchange of dialogue. Did I mention we have a back room with all the amenities? You're right, guys. He has all the amenities. So now David DeCateau is shooting a movie here, and basically this is just all a plot now for Rabbit to get a fake deposit to give to Evie.
I do like that he at least has like a sense of humor about the movies he makes.
I mean, I can't speak because I haven't seen any of his movies, but I mean, that checks out based on like what you've told me.
Like,
unlike these movies,
he's like a lifelong fucking B grade sort of like Full Moon. Like, I think he works pretty heavily with Full Moon at this point. Mm-hmm. And like he's also made like a bunch of like queer horror movies that I haven't watched them because it's like 1313 Haunted Frat and shit like that. Like, I'm not watching that. whatever haunted frat is. But like, I do like that at least someone's making kind of some queer Z grade horror movies. Now, I'm saying that not having seen the content, maybe it is extremely bad, but like there's a whole franchise that he has made directed of these like weird 1313 movies. There's the Haunted Frat, there's UFO Invasion, Nightmare Mansion, Bigfoot Island.
Bigfoot Island sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, I'm in.
Unlike this part, cut to the Gingerdeadman fucking Candy. Like, I can't believe I'm watching this fucking little cookie doll man fuck this girl. And she's having a hard time focusing because she also fucked Ooga Booga, which we've explained what that is. And,
there's a lot of doll fucking in these couple movies.
I cannot get over how much doll fucking there was. There was so much. And thankfully, this was just a bad dream that the Gingerdeadman had. And Larnell says they haven't made enough money yet and warns against getting duped by Evie again. And I also want to note that every line in this is just a joke, and there's no constructive or progressive dialogue. It's just like things to laugh at. Like nothing serves a purpose here. Things just happen when like the plot needs to move along.
Yeah, basically.
And then the stoners, who kind of reminded me of Caius, are back now calling Gingerdeadman a leprechaun and demean the blonde girl by throwing a bunch of money on the ground. Why not just buy weed with that money is beyond me. One of the guys says, I still think I'm John Tesh. And I'm like, wow, haven't heard a John Tesh reference in a minute.
Especially in like past probably like 2002. Does anybody remember who John Tesh is?
They wind up buying 5 bongs for $5,000. Back in Evie, the Punishers have now switched places with the girls, who are now entertaining them. Evie drops in and then leaves to collect her money before the girls now get out. I think I don't know. I left a word out of my sentence. I was not sober watching these. They now know where the rabbit hole. They're just trying to get out, basically.
Yeah.
Back at the store, Rabbit sells some bongs to a Punisher skull face painted angry man that he calms down with the weed leaf blower. The Gingerdeadman is sad that Candy has moved on from him because she was his first time having sex.
It's just such a bummer that like it's still
I just need to take a drink there.
I want Gary Busey to have been the one to deliver all of this dialogue.
And it's not.
Yeah.
Larnell provides some words of wisdom about this, and that's the scene. So they're still short $40,000, and Rabbit is having trouble going into nothing head mode. Evie shows up in the store. Sarah and Felicity find a rabbit hole and escape back to the world. Hambone comes back. Then Evie shows up, and then the girls come back too. Evie calls out Larnell and Rabbit for being short on cash. The Gingerdeadman's yeast starts rising, and then the rednecks show back up, stopping Evie from taking everyone back to Weed World or whatever, because they have made $39,999.95 to buy weed. They're short by a nickel that they actually also have. So the girls are free, but the Gingerdeadman says he wants to kill everybody. Rabbit tries to go into nothing head mode again, which he achieves with help from some guidance from Felicity, which is punching him in the face. Rabbit winds up using his nothing head mode to suck Evie into his brain. That's a sentence I just said. And also Larnell. In Rabbit's brain, the Gingerdeadman rides on Evie around in a black void populated by tits with wings, I guess.
It's
a raccoon shits out Larnell. God damn it.
What cinema? Christopher Nolan could never.
Martin Scorsese, eat your heart out.
Goodfellas, pass. Evil Bong, high five.
Gramps' disembodied voice chastises Larnell. I just want to say again, a raccoon shits out Larnell. And that leads us to Evil Bong 666. This one just sort of starts.
Can we talk about real quick how at least interesting it would have been if all of 6 took place inside Rabbit's head and just looked like this little end credit thing of 5?
I would have much preferred like some kind of Neon Genesis mindfuck ending to it, as opposed to like now we're just going to another really bizarrely CGI'd realm.
It also would have been like it would have made sense have been like, oh well, they've been trapped inside like the Evil Bong world for a while. Now all of a sudden they're trapped in like Rabbit's head and they have to get out. But no, instead they were just like, let's just make it a weird hell thing with a goth girl.
And they could have easily done it too, because they obviously had access to a green screen, but instead we get sexy hell.
It almost feels like all of these movies end on like a cliffhanger where I'm kind of like, okay, this next one might be interesting, and then they just reset and do like a whole different terrible fucking thing that has like nothing to do with how the last movie ended.
Yeah. So after the credits, we are back at EB's weed shop again, and now they have EB branded weed to sell and a skeleton rigged up in one of like what looks to be Sun's leftover hoods. That previously blonde girl, she was Phoebe, but she's playing a different role. Now playing Lucifer. If it sounds stupid, it's because it is. And this is her attempt to like worship the devil or whatever. And I'm like, okay, you've piqued my interest, movie. Like, I've seen a couple devil worship movies now, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're going in a good direction with this one. The Caius guys come back, now not really looking like Caius dudes anymore. They look more like Crusties.
The Hesher 1 and 2.
Yeah, they kind of downgraded from like stoner metal guys to like crust pugs, but I guess that kind of checks out. Yeah, just greasy Heshers. They somehow think that Lucy was Larnell and Rabbit, despite them pointing out one of them is a bald asshole, and also that they were two completely different people. I suppose props for subverting against what I thought he was going to say, which was that she was blonde, but nope, you got me, movie.
It would have been very funny if just the entire scene they kept calling her Rabbit.
Yes.
Should have kept doing that.
This scene just kind of goes on for a while. It's them trying to buy weed. Lucy says she's gotten rare strands of weed from the Valley, which presumably is the Valley area of California. Okay. And it's EB weed, Gingerweedman weed, just all the weeds. She offers the first toke for free, and they rip a bong, and then she blows powder in their faces. She knocks one out, and the other one, after he runs in place and says, "Move, legs," escapes. A portal that looks like what I thought was possibly the outline of EB or a butt plug, but it's later confirmed to basically be a vagina.
Oh, yeah.
Shows up in front of the skeleton, which summons EB, the Evil Bong, and she says that she was stuck in sexy hell with Rabbit. Apparently it's a bad place, but killing that Hesher, as she calls him, worked as a blood sacrifice. So now Lucy wants EB to help her so she can open a portal to sexy hell and see Satan. What is this movie?
I mean, like I give them at least the credit of trying to write a movie with a fucking plot in it, or some sort of like at least going back to a movie that has, quote unquote stakes to it, as opposed to just a fucking hour and 10-minute commercial.
Now we cut to some vampire clowns, and this is the Killjoy character. It's like a pair of mime clowns and this monstrous looking clown named Killjoy. I was obviously very unsure of what was happening in the moment, and also just felt wickedly uncomfortable watching this. It's just so without any context. This is just very out of left field. And I kind of cannot just get over this insane multiverse of movies. Like, I know you like the MCU, but I think we really need to speak to the power that is the FMCU.
Yeah. If one of these characters doesn't pop in like Secret Wars, we'll be real disappointed. just all of a sudden it's like, Earth 18's fucking Hulk versus EB.
He's smoking her.
Oh shit, that'd be incredible.
Hulk like. I wrote in all caps, why am I watching clowns?
What's interesting though is that the Killjoy movies are infinitely better than these, and they're not great.
That is such an interesting spectrum of cinema.
The Killjoy movies are at least fun because like they kind of get into the same sort of like cheap idea, like an idea where they're like, okay, let's make a movie that's essentially set in like one place kind of thing, like these do. But it's like dumb shit where Killjoy in one of them has like his own talk show. One of them is like him on trial in hell or some dumbass shit. And so like they do the same thing, but with like way better ideas to make a movie out of than just like being stuck in a fucking weed store and like people come in and annoy you. Like I really wonder if like Charles Band was like, Clerks had the right idea, but I'm gonna do Evil Bong Clerks instead.
Well, also Clerks was the first time a movie like that had been made. And to duplicate it, but with something as stupid as this is probably not the most advised plan.
At least throw and I'm not even supposed to be here today into one of these movies.
I'd like to think that, regardless of how anyone might feel about Clerks, it has a bit more pathos and character than this. Also, like the baddie Boop or Boop, whatever not Sarah Lee's character is, like she just looks like. Have you ever seen that? I think it was like a Funny or Die bit where Don Cheadle plays Captain Planet.
Oh yeah,
and that's what she looks like in this.
What I don't get is, I guess I at least don't remember, is there any explanation as to like what happens to Sarah? She's just gone all of a sudden for fake baddie Boop.
Doesn't it turn out that she is just like, hey, it is Sarah. She just is the character
Oh, maybe.
or something. I think that's what happens.
I don't remember because like I said, there's something that like, I think, whatever Killjoy movie that like careens into this. I only watched it like the one time and very half paid attention. I wonder if there was like an explanation as to what it was in whatever Killjoy movie.
I don't know, but basically the story is she's just like in San Francisco, wherever the fuck they are in California, because she got booted out by the other mime clown because of something that happened or made upset to Killjoy. I don't know. Just if you really care, Google it. I don't. So some dudes in Halloween masks are begging for money to buy weed in exchange for like sucking, which they do deny to a large trucker guy who says, that's false advertising. I can get you in trouble with the law. And he leaves, presumably to get the law about the false advertising about the people begging and will offer to suck you off for that.
I 100% blocked all of that out. I don't remember any of that happening.
Not Sarah Lee, clown lady, walks up to them because she thinks they're like her, a strange person, I suppose. And I just, again, feel so lost without any context to this. And I just was like, is Killjoy just like a weird, like Joker Harley Quinn knockoff? Because I feel like her clown character is just like bad Harley Quinn.
Well, like essentially, like she's doing Harley Quinn's voice, but all of her R's are W's when she speaks.
Yeah, it's very like little kid kind of speak.
Like the first Killjoy movie is essentially just like a killer clown movie. Like it's just kind of like a cheap slasher, but like a clown, right?
Right.
And from what I remember, I think it was like an entire black cast kind of movie, and like maybe had like a black director that made it. And then they recast Killjoy and just turned it into this fucking weird, just Evil Bong-esque franchise that
like anything goes.
Yeah, because it's literally like the first Killjoy, then there's Killjoy 2 and 3, and then it's Killjoy Goes to Hell. What's the last one? Killjoy's Psycho Circus, which is the talk show one. Like, they just straight up just turn it into like the same kind of bullshit going on with like the Evil Bong movies. But like the first one was somebody, making a real movie, quote unquote.
I don't know. I just just all of this, like my brain just felt like it was getting looser in my skull.
It's one of those things that like I can't imagine what these movies are like.
Well,
Like, cause like I watched them the first time without the same way like you just watched them, right? But I immediately was like, well, now I gotta watch these fucking Killjoy movies and like all the fucking bullshit that tied into it. So now I had like watching it again, I had like the context, so I get it. But like, yeah, this has like, especially these last two have to be fucking baffling with like no outside context for the greater Full Moon cinematic universe.
Talking about just like imagine making it, can you imagine walking by? Because like it's pretty clear that in this scene, because it's outside, like people in the background are reacting to this scene, like they're making faces, and like some dude points out, they're like, hey, look at that, like they're filming some weird shit. Imagine walking down the street and just seeing like this weird group of people filming, like what are they even making with people dressed up like that?
I mean, I've been to Venice Beach. I feel like nobody even noticed this was happening. It's how like you see like the idea that like people in like New York City will just walk by the most absurd thing anyone outside of New York City has ever seen.
Yeah.
Like it's totally normal. And like I feel this was the same thing. People in Venice were probably like, yeah, there's just fucking clowns. What else is new?
So Rabbit shows up at the shop, makes a pun about offering up his dick. That's dialogue for a while. The fluorescent lighting in this scene is like just fucking really hurting my eyes. Some girls walk in, Rabbit acts like a perv, and they flash Lucy because that's what they used to have to do when Rabbit was in charge.
Bad business,
Why
man.
am I watching this? At this point, we find out that Larnell was dispatched, aka he is trapped in Rabbit's brain, and that's basically where he remains. He's gone. Jeff comes back in with his girlfriend or trophy wife, trophy as he calls it, not even trophy wife, Versnachi, like Versace. And it turns out either Grandpa died or has gone off on another adventure. And then Versnachi gets high and immediately horny, so they leave.
Is this the one with the like cups that are vaporizers? Or is that 7?
I think that's the next one.
No, I think it's this one because
Maybe
7's the one where they're just on the run. And I was like, that's a good idea. How has somebody not figured out how to make these? Like the entire thing is like, oh, it's like a like a portable like cup for drinking water or whatever with a straw, but is secretly a vaporizer, so it just looks like you're drinking your ice water.
If you were to consume the entirety of that, you'd be so fucking stoned. But I get I get what you're saying though. It would just basically be like a really large, wide vape pen.
There's just things in these movies that I'm like, this is a good idea. I want a fucking leaf blower that just gets you high. And instead, they just kept making these movies instead of just making that a real thing.
But these movies now are just that scene in the room where the mother shows up, says she has cancer, and then has to go. Like just in and out. Out.
Yeah. Once you get to the weed store in like 5, 5, right? Because I think 4 is the bowling alley. Yeah, so like once you get to the weed store, you're just in the weed store for like 3 movies straight. And periodically you cut back to either Bongland CGI screen or Sexy Hell CGI screen.
Well, we're almost there. Clown Girl encounters Madam Mystic Eye or Madam Misty. I don't know. I just referred to her as MM eventually.
Yeah, it's just Misty.
Misty, all right. Who I assume was just someone with this like exact table set up on Venice Beach, and she directs her to Evie's weed shop. Back at the shop, the girls come back, and Lucy sells them the vape cup. Here you go, which they both test out in the store along with Rabbit. They buy 2. They flash their boobs again. More Rabbit being a lech before she leads them into the back room with Evie and the satanic Christmas ornament. Then some guy and his not porn star partner come in, get high on the vape cup, buy it, and leave. At this point, it is pointed out to me that the clown girl, this is when I realized that clown girl is Sarah from the previous number of movies. Like, I just was completely oblivious to this. So the movie got me, or I don't know, maybe I was really high and it didn't occur to me. Maybe these movies are stupid. Madam Misty is helping directs Sarah back to where Larnell is, which is Rabbit's brain. Again, that's just something I said. Now we watch Sarah in clown makeup cry as the girl says Evie's name, which Rabbit warned not to do, and the girls from before, man, if you've lost the thread with me, I don't blame you. The girls from before now appear except as topless cultists before the Gingerdeadman shows up through the portal to sexy hell. Sarah as the real Patty makes me uncomfortable. I'm trying to figure out why I wrote that. The real Patty. Maybe that's just like her name, or I fucked up her name.
Well, her
I
name's
don't know.
Batty.
Oh, okay.
And so,
Batty.
like, I'm assuming, but it's also like the way everyone talks in these movies is like, especially if it's like Gingerdeadman saying it, half incomprehensible. So, like, I'm sure, and also like, I forget one of these. I think 8. The subtitles are all fucked up. So, like, who knows if it might have said Patty in a subtitle.
Lucy shows up with Evie, and the Gingerdeadman says he jumped through a flaming pussy to escape sexy hell. Madam Mystic says they need to take the girls to the hospital, which prompts the Gingerdeadman to open the portal to sexy hell, taking the girls with him, and eventually everybody winds up going into the portal except for Rabbit and the Gingerdeadman. Okay, this next part, sexy hell. Nathan, describe this for me.
I mean, it's just a green screen of butts and boobs as hills in the background with, like, I believe, farting lava out of some of them.
Is it farting lava or is it coming lava?
Well, it's coming out of butts, so I'm going to assume.
I could not tell. I mean, it was just, there was hot flaming liquid coming out of a bodily orifice in the background of this scene.
Again, I don't understand how either this or the Bong world are supposed to be bad. So that they're also desperate to escape, where I'm just like, this is way better than the real world. What's wrong with you people?
Sexy hell is one of the most ridiculous things I have ever seen in my life.
It's just, again, it's another thing where I'm like, you're onto a good idea for a movie, and then you just squander it so much. Like, evil hell is a fun, or sexy hell is a fun, stupid idea that they don't really do anything with.
Well, it turns out that the Lord of Sexy Hell, or the High Priest, is the Don, the short guy from Evil Bong 4 or whatever. And his name is Beelzebub.
Silence, man! Come on!
Who are you?
I am Beelzebub, High Priest of Sexy Hell, Lord of Darkness, Ambassador of fucking delicate shit like that.
I thought it was Beelzebub because it's Sexy Hell, or Beelzebub, but I was like, no, that's a band. But yeah, he's the High Priest of Sexy Hell, and Lucy wants to side up with him. So
how did this dude go from Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2 of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Bad Boys 2, he was fucking Splinter in one of the CGI Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, to this? Yeah,
he wasn't even bad in the last one.
He did the motion capture for Splinter on Out of the Shadows.
Oh, okay.
And then just somehow ended up in these movies and fucking Unlucky Charms, which I'm assuming he plays a leprechaun in, unfortunately. Yep, he plays Bloody Bones.
Jesus.
What a fucking terrible time to be alive.
So Lucy offers up Sarah and Misty as sacrifices, but Beelzebub says they don't do sacrifices in Sexy Hell. They do fucked up orgies. They're gross.
At least he's being truthful, at least.
This guy reminds me of that. Have you ever seen that clip of Maynard James Keenan from Tool in that like weird show Bikini Bandits? And he plays Satan.
No.
it's so stupid. It's just like, oh, bikini bandits. And it's like Maynard, but he's red with horns and he's in like a little like pool somewhere. I don't really know what those movies are. I'm assuming they're like sexy, bad action movies.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
It involves Maynard James Keenan. It's probably not great. Then some sexy demons show up. It kind of just turns into like a porn with like a lot more plot and a lot less sex at this point. Misty yanks the tail off of one so that like pops her out of existence, and then they toss Evie into the portal, the pussy portal, and she goes through it, and Evil Bong says he wants to do sacrifices now after the orgy.
What an incredible phrase.
The pussy portal?
Yeah.
Back at the shop, Rabbit and the Gingerdeadman are there, and then Evie shows up to say they have to work together to stop Basil Bud. I wrote Bung for this one, from conquering Earth. Rabbit gets so high, he summons the pussy portal, and the Gingerdeadman and himself get sucked into it. Rabbit goes into the Gingerdeadman just gets sucked into it. Rabbit goes into mad scientist mode with Evie to create a monster, which is basically just him making a pastry recipe plus weed, and this results in the creation of the Gingerweedman. Rabbit says, "It's high, Allah, it's alive," like Frankenstein, after they Frankenstein style bring the Gingerweed man into existence, which is a pretty ugly puppet.
I love it.
But somehow is definitely one of the better things of these movies.
The voice combination with the look of the puppet totally works for me because it's just like
why is he
stupid.
British?
I don't know, but I love it.
Back in sexy hell, Bezelbud says to get the ceremony underway. The Hesher shows up, and then the Gingerdeadman shows up before things can get too sexy. Sarah and Misty escape their bindings when the Gingerweedman shows up too. He fires a bazooka joint shooter and just quotes the Terminator, but with weed puns and RoboCop. He gets the Gingerdeadman and Lucy high. Sarah and Misty knock out Lucy, and I noted here that the green screen here is so bad. Like, people are phasing in and out of it. Like, you can see where they sort of fizzle off on the edges of them.
I can only imagine these movies cost $600 to make.
$6.
Yeah. Holy shit. Apparently they raised $20,000 for this
I read that.
Indiegogo. This movie does not look like $20,000.
Well, they spread that out. Each one they used 5,000. That's why.
Oh, okay, that checks out.
Or I don't know. I'm making a joke, but I was just working off of that.
Well, it says a portion of the budget was raised via a $20,000 Indiegogo campaign. So I do wonder if they were like, "Hey, if we make this much money, we'll do 4 movies or whatever."
A 4-for-1 deal.
I wonder if maybe it was this funded 6 and 7 or something. Like maybe they split it and did the 2.
Who knows?
I'm gonna have to buy all these just to see if there's a commentary track. Get the real scoop.
Sarah winds up stomping the Gingerdeadman to pieces. The girls want to leave, and the Gingerweedman offers a deal that if he wins in some kind of contest against Bezelbud, they will go home with him. And if he loses, they stay and he becomes a slave forever. The contest is a good old-fashioned bake-off, aka getting really high.
How are you going to get higher than a creature made of weed?
It's a great question. Bezelbud takes the first hit, and I like that even in sexy hell, you have to use a Bic lighter. They just alternatively take really big bong hits for the next few minutes.
What you don't know is every time you you lose one of those Bic lighters, they just end up in sexy hell.
Oh, your friend doesn't steal them?
Yeah. It's how they say a gremlin steals your fucking sock out of the dryer or whatever every time you use it. It's just same way.
A high-pitched voice devil man creeps out of sexy hell and steals your Bic lighter.
Yeah.
The Gingerweedman takes a hit so big he fills sexy hell with smoke and his eyes turn glowing red. And I need to point out, where has Evie been most of this movie for being an Evil Bong movie?
Literally just sitting on a shelf in the background of these scenes, the entire time.
Anyway, they finally escape Sexy Hell because Beelzebub fell asleep. They all warp back to the shop where EB says they have to close it together to make sure nothing comes back through it, which they do, and the pussy portal makes a fart noise when it goes away. EB says she is taking back the shop and everyone works for her. Sarah seems to be way into this and dances so hard that she turns back into her normal, not clown self. That's another thing I just said. Sure, sounds weird too when your partner's name is Sarah.
But it's also immediately reversed because she's a clown again in the next movie.
Oh my god, you're right.
Like, it's all like they just constantly like do this shit in these movies where like I'm like, okay, that's an interesting idea, and then it's just wiped fucking clean the next time. Like next time you see anybody, or by the time you get to the next movie.
At this point, too, in real life, there was a huge fight outside my apartment. So there's this like weirdly serene scene going on to end this movie, juxtaposed to just people screaming bloody fucking murder outside.
So something more interesting to watch than the actual movie.
Meanwhile, in Sexy Hell, Lucy and Beelzebub plot their next move, which involves... Oh, I wrote next movie, I guess they are plotting the next movie, which involves bringing the Gingerdeadman back to life. Whew, who's still with us? We got 2 more to go.
And again, like I just said, like a Frankenstein Gingerdeadman coming back to be like murderous. Good idea. Do nothing with it.
Hey everybody, Dylan jumping in here real quick just to let you know that I am breaking the chat up into 2 parts, and you can catch the rest of this shit show in the next episode, which is also available today. Right now, you can go listen to it. That is Evil Bong Must Die Part 2. And if you want to follow along, you can follow Diary of Doom on Instagram. You'll find all the Movies from Green Hell updates there, and you can check out the website diaryofdoom.com to see pictures from shows that I go to and shit of that nature. That's all there. Podcast and pictures. Anyway, we'll see you in the next episode.